There's this
Okay.
game. It's called Yomi Hustle.
Okay. Is
Uh,
this related to Yomi?
it is not related to Yomi.
Oh fuck! God, this is so fucking. Okay, fine. All right.
It is a bunch of stick figures doing high octane Zhao Zhao fights in
All
the
right. All right.
style of your old Newgrounds, stick fights, and it's also got characters
Oh,
that
I
are
sees it.
doing things that are like, yep, that's just Dante doing sword
Mm.
gun tricks, and that's a mage doing casting spells, and that's a ninja doing alpha blades, and beta blades. So it's a little stick figure fighting thing, right? But it was unclear to me when I downloaded it. People were like, "Yo, you got to check this out." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Okay, I'll play a little indie fighter," but it was unclear to me what was exactly happening until I fucking opened it up and I realized that this is not a fighting game that is just an indie fighter, but it is a turn-based fighter. But it does something that
Oh,
is
interesting.
it does something very interesting that I've tried to piece together in my head a fighting game design that could be turn based and be kind of like fair. And we played a game not too long ago called Mega Knockdown. Which kind of does it, but this does it. It fixes a problem which with that by allowing you to do what you talked about, which is let you replay the whole sequence and make it look cool, right? And what you get is a game that is it's not just pick two actions at the same time and they
Hmm.
both play out together, right? That's a simple enough thing to do. That's kind of more or less a card game. And then you can just attach animations to the cards. This is so much sicker because what it does is it lets you pick your action you pick one of three characters: ninja, cowboy, or wizard. I've been playing it all day. I'm super in, and you have a list of normal attacks. You have a list of specials, and then you unlock and then you can also choose movement or metered things, right? Specials and supers and such.
Hmm.
You can only do one thing per turn, whether that's move or attack or defend or block or whatever. You can only choose to do one thing. The moment you do it, the game moves forward by one frame increment, one moment, and then a little preview ghost of what you're about to do is shown to both players.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, I'm going to use the examples of Ryu and Ryu and Ken, right? Um, the moment your Ryu selects Hadoken, we
Hmm.
step forward by one, and your Ryu puts his hands back, and then a little ghost of the future shows that Hadoken is about to come out, and
Okay.
currently, and it shows your ghost standing there taking the hit. What you do next is you choose jump, and then it shows your ghost jumping over it,
Right.
or you choose punch, and it shows your punch coming out and getting hit by the fireball. That doesn't work. And then it shows do a hurricane kick, and it shows hurricane kick going through it and hitting him. And you go, I'm going to pick that one, right? So you now, seeing that you've picked your hurricane kick, it steps forward again. And now it returns to the Ryu's, turn. So he is still in the middle of starting up that Hadoken. He sees that you're about to do a hurricane kick. The ghost is now showing perfect information or rather, not perfect information, but showing you've chosen the fireball, I've chosen the hurricane kick, and then I can choose to either commit to that move or cancel it, right? And you get to do the same thing. And then you kind of continue on that trajectory until your committed moves happen and interact with each other. That's a long form version of what's happening step by step. Short, and I guess that's a little confusing. To summarize, right? You click the action you want to do with your character, and you put that down on the table as if to say, I'm about to do this, maybe. And if I do it, you're gonna see the exact the move come out, facing the direction I choose, going at the speed I choose, and it's gonna hit you. You can get out of the way by choosing to get out of the way.
Is this just a very slow fighting game?
Yes.
Because the way you're explaining this, and I'm like, it can't just be as simple as it's a fighting game that is just very slow. But I think that's what you're actually describing.
It is a very slow fighting game, but here's what's happening. One, everything you're doing is really like crazy anime high octane Dragon Ball-ish.
Right.
So you're teleporting from one turn to the next, and so you can make drastic things happen in those little increments. And secondly, when someone gets hit, you kind of can just keep going and doing your combo unless they burst out of it. So there's moments where you're like, oh, I fucked up, I took the hit, now I gotta choose, now I just gotta take these, and then like I can get my burst back and resume. And you're playing that kind of incremental fighting game, but it does take time, right? Both players have a chess clock, so when it's not your turn, it's my turn, and vice versa. And they start at half an hour long. So you can play a match, and you take your time, especially if you're trying to perfect your movements and be smart. It's called Yomi Hustle. You can end up taking a solid 25 minutes each. You're locked in, right? If you want to have this crazy long duel. And what ends up happening is you get to that final state of like, I read your mind, and then the Yomi, right? The word Yomi, reading the mind of the opponent.
Oh, fuck off. Surely.
Right. That thing is the mechanic of seeing what's about to happen in the future is the game. And then the difference is that this is the fighting game that tells you what the opponent's about to do and what you think you should do to avoid it. You know, and it gives you a second to adjust. And then when you finish,
just play chess and put little gloves on the pieces.
So when it's absolutely a chess-like exchange that's happening turn by turn. And when you finish the battle and you let it play out, it's the sickest, crazy Zao anime fucking Newgrounds shit ever. It's teleporting, cancels, reading, cancels, like dash, nothing personal, kid, Shoryuken.
This is what Goku is thinking in his mind as he's throwing punches. He's thinking 1 million times faster than the speed of light.
It's the JoJo moments of I'm monologuing in midair as I'm backflipping and deciding what to do next. Right? You get to do that yourself, and it is it's currently in open beta on the itch.io, right? Yeah, on the itch.io page. This is called Yomi Hustle, and Ivy Sly is the name of the creator. And this is a really fun system. It's more than just a turn-based fighter concept. It adds time into the equation that in a really fun, dynamic way. The characters are like, you have a rush down, again, like a Dante, you've got a zoner, and you've got like a kind of a mix that's quick, and they kind of they interact with each other very interestingly. Everyone's it's a ton of fucking fun, and you can absolutely pick this up and start playing with it, because what it asks you to do is be smart at your choices, not your execution, of course, right? Mm-hmm. So this is all another thing where it's like, hey, this is straight up like chess fighting game. Two factors about it that especially make it really cool are that while you're getting hit, even if you're unable to like get out of a combo, you can still make the opponent fuck up by, there's a knob, there's basically like a full sort of not a dial, but it's the equivalent of like an analog stick that you can point in any direction to be your DI, which is your directional influence. Mm-hmm. And it's basically the same way Smash works, where it's like, the next time I get hit, I want to go flying to the left instead of to the right.
Right.
And that means that like if you did your combo in such a way where you were expecting me to fly to the left, but instead I went to the right, I might move out of the way and you might drop your combo, So basically, you can
Okay,
choose.
so even on hit, you're controlling DI at 1 million times fucking mental speed.
Exactly, and by
Haha, Jotaro punched me towards the cab. What a
ex-
dumbass.
exactly punching, you can choose to go towards the cab, and by doing
I really
that,
want to appreciate, Wooly, that you've discovered a way to appreciate what I'm going to term weeaboo mechanics.
that's what you wanted me to do, and therefore, but what little did you know that actually that's what it is, right?
God damn it.
So it's and what you have to understand, I guess, well, you don't have to, but
Yeah,
you don't have to
Wooly,
understand
you're sitting here
anything.
going, fuck you, you have to understand this.
What's
You
cool
must.
is that we all the joke about Yomi is the term for reading the mind of the opponent, right? Like the gag on
That
that.
clip makes me laugh every time.
So the term, as we've discussed it, it's like it refers to the moment you can read what your opponent is about to do. That's the first layer of it, right? 0 is I don't know anything. I'm not paying attention to what you're doing.
I'm just hitting buttons, man.
Right. 1 is I think I know what you're about to do. And then 2 is, oh, he knows what I'm about to do, so I'm going to answer back with something else, right? So I know you're going to do rock first, thus I play paper.
Oh, you know what? It's funny. I actually interpreted Yomi in a completely different way in terms of levels. 1 is I'm just hitting buttons. I don't know what I'm doing. 2 is I think I know what you're going to do. 3 is I know what you're going to do. And I always interpreted the highest level of Yomi, which is I can make you do what I want you to do. Right?
It
Like
is
in terms of training an opponent.
That's not what it is, but that is a part of like high level play, because it's what you're doing is called conditioning, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, I can make you do something, but but it's basically a like if you think about it, like player, like just one player is like the odd numbers and the other player is the even numbers, so as you go, like he's about to do X, and it's actually, so I'm going to use Y. And then you go back to player 1 and he goes, oh, he thinks I'm about to do X, therefore I'm going to do Z. So it's rock to paper to scissors. And then the fourth layer, and then the top layer is like, I have foreseen the circumstances of this exchange. I am prepared for either of them, and I have the final answer to either of those situations that I know this person's about to do. But if somebody doesn't know what they're doing and does something random completely, I'm going to lose.
Man, I'm just hitting buttons out here.
Yeah. So I'm prepared for rock, and I'm prepared for paper. And I'm prepared for the possibility of scissors even. But if you do fucking
Hot sauce.
middle finger, then
Yeah.
or gun, I'm dead. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. Anyway, so all that explanation to say that, like, the Yomi is in the game mechanic. It's in showing the ghost of what's about to happen. And even that feels very cool, because you're tweaking, for example, because while you're waiting on the opponent to do what they're planning next, you see all of their options that are available to them, and you can click them to change the preview ghost.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see, for example, oh, if he does this next, I can do that instead,
It's funny because there's a game called Frozen Synapse that came out a long time ago that is basically this, but like tactical strategy, shooter.
Yeah.
Where you're both taking turns simultaneously.
Okay.
It's just very slow.
Yeah. And I mean, I know, like, you have little moments of XCOM where you're like checking every route. What if you go around this side, aim at this unit? Well, how will that work out? Okay, back up. What about this one, And you can kind of use the time that's not your turn to check your opponent's options and see how they can do something. If they're getting hit or whatever, then they don't have any options, in which case you're free to just combo. But
I
if they
have to say, man, to me personally, this sounds like the worst thing in literally the entire universe, because the amount of thinking that I'm doing when playing a fighting game is like, I want it to approach 0.
You want it to just move.
I play by far the best when I'm at 0, which leads to weird drunken malarkey in which, like, man, I can hit I can hit 720s when I'm wasted super good.
Yeah.
I overthink it, if anything. So the fact that you're describing this as the thinking man's anime chess fighter, I'm like, man, I'd be terrible at this fucking game. Just
You can,
awful.
but you can unga bunga in this game.
How do you unga when time is slow?
You can just pick your option for what you want to land, based on your feeling.
Yeah, but
Right.
the unga succeeds in pressure. You can't pressure somebody when they have 8 seconds to sit there and think
When they
about
when
it.
they when they get a moment, yeah. So that is ultimately the thing is, But here's the bit. If
I just saw somebody in the chat say this is
But-
like watching Mugen and Jin from Samurai Champloo have a conversation.
But Pat,
I love that.
But the strength of your unga, the decisions, is that
Yeah.
you've spent less time on the clock. Whereas when my time approaches 0, I lose.
Oh, yes, that's true.
So the chess clock of pressure means I have to act. I'm incentivized to act faster. If we had forever, that'd be a different story.
I would love it if it comes out, with this game comes out and is really popular, and it's like, hey, guess what, guys? The meta is to just hit the keyboard as hard as you can constantly. It doesn't matter what you do.
Right.
Turns out ungaing as hard as you can bunga, as hard as possible, as fast as possible, actually beats out other options 40 to 60% of the time. So it's coin flip. You should just fucking gorilla dome that shit.
No, I mean, it's really it's again, if pros had forever to think about their chess moves, they could go through the mental book and fucking drop the best, like, oh yeah, Kasparov did this in this situation, or whatever. But like, the fact that you've got the pressure clock on you to be like, hey, you better do everything you're going to do in this game this quickly, right? Yeah. Right now, it still is generous to some degree, but I've come up across that limit, a couple times. And like when I played, so we did it on Saturday for Getting to Fighting Games, and when I played against Reggie with it, like, definitely I had moments where I'm like, oh fuck, I've got 3 minutes left. I got to really go. I got to unga up a bit more, play on my instincts, because I don't have time to perfectly analyze, Perfectly analyzing will help you early on while you've got that clock, but when it starts to wear down, you don't.
Fucking video games are like the worst. I'm just sitting here listening to you, repeat back like, oh man, I'm running out of time, I gotta unga up. And I'm just thinking about like an argument I had with chat like 2 years ago about Runeterra of like face deck means unga, and I'm just like, just awful, just an awful waste of our time. Terrible.
It's absolutely, it's unforgivably stupid, but too late. You're already here.
Darn.
So, yeah, this is a really fucking fun ass game. And out strategizing, out thinking, doing what you can, making the best reads, all of that. The other way, you can have that be the thing you enjoy about it, but if you don't, the other thing you can do is just think of it as a choreographed anime fucking fight dance, because essentially, if you just go to single player, it's basically like a video editor for you to play with your anime toys.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you can just make them do cool things to each other, and then like it'll play back at normal speed and be like a crazy ass sick sequence.
That seems cool. That's Yomi Hustle.
Yomi Hustle. And it auto saves the replays, and then you can export and then keep them. So if you want to watch some super hype stuff, like the moment I picked like. I went through each of the characters and I started messing around. I'm like, oh, I started to see like this combos into that, this pressure sets up into that pressure, and it's all the stuff you get to enjoy about discovering a fighting game character. But yeah, you get this situation where it's open, more people can enjoy the executionless aspect, but it's not just simplifying the things that are fun about fighting games, because the execution pressure is fun. It's adding a layer of like, we get to do Roman cancels constantly at sacrifice of our meter resources.
It makes perfect sense that you would be in love with this game, because it's like, what if we could both just play in training mode against each other and just do the coolest thing in the world?
Well, it's not training mode. It's just like, it's honestly, it's how do we do the cool things that are happening in Dragon Ball fights at faster than human speeds?
By getting good.
No. I mean faster than conceivable speeds, right? The fastest games in the world, where you look at your Marvels, you look at your, all your anime fighters that are insane, and the split-second decisions you have to make there are crazy, but you could never operate at a Dragon Ball ass level, And in this case, like, this lets you do that. So it's more of a anime battle simulator.
Reenact the Tournament of Power, which canonically took 30 minutes.
Right. And
right?
and you get to think at the same speed as the anime characters do.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm in midair right now. I'm about to fall on top of a giant lava trap, and the opponent is above me doing a stab downwards. What are my options? What if I teleport behind him and, oh shit, my teleport won't reach? Okay.
Oh, darn.
What if I block, and if I block right on the same frame he's about to hit me, I'll parry, and a big parry explosion will happen, and then I get to do a fucking cool thing. And then you watch that moment back, and it's just like a flip, whoa, boom, and the payoff of, like, what you can tell, the payoff is always worth it, because the moment the match ends, like, you even if the person's like salty, because it's a chat box for, like, talking to each other as you play, and like everyone, even if they want to like disconnect right away, you kind of see them watch out the match replay first before they leave. Because you want to see what you've made. You want to see the cool thing come together. And then you're like, all right, I'm out. So yeah, Yomi Hustle, I gotta fucking give it up. They did a great job with that. And they've, I've talked about enjoying this concept in a Phantom Brigade, that mecha game.
Yeah.
I've talked about enjoying it to a degree in Transistor as well, the timeline-based system. This is the funnest version of it I've encountered, because it's PvP.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The PvP aspect makes it incredibly fun. And because you're looking at a game with like fucking stick figure assets, and it's all concept, right? The concept is firing on all cylinders, and it works. The proof is there. You can easily just imagine, like, okay, and then some talented artist and talented composer got together and gave them some assets to make this shit real. If that's what they wanted. I was
looking at it while you were talking, but I couldn't understand how people were playing so quickly until you explained. But it's very like proof of concept, right? It's stick figures.
Stick figures.
You clearly have something here, and you could tweak this and just put art on it.
And that's what I tell to anybody who has a great game idea but doesn't have the artist to work on it, or doesn't have the talent to make the art themselves, is like, you can do MS Paint doodles and your game proof of concept will still be fun.
You can get artists later. There's artists all over the place. They're always desperate for work. You can feed them shit. Artists are all over the place. Good ideas though. That's rare.
Not a dime a dozen, right? Yeah.
Wow. Good ideas.
The best part about
you go down to the fucking art store and dig through the dumpster where they're trying to get like watercolors and fucking colored pencils, and be like, do you want to draw? And then they go, oh.
You don't even have to pay them. You can just pay them in exposure bucks.
I think they're catching on. I think you need to pay them in crypto now.
No. pay them in AI threats.
Oh man.
Yeah, so Yomi Hustle, go fucking check that shit out.